All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get started and other people can come in and join. And I'm recording this session and we'll make it available for you to watch again later, to share it with other people. And I invite you to do that. I put just one more time, the Zoom meeting address in the chat. If you have a colleague or a friend or a student whom you would like to participate in this webinar, I'd love for you to invite them right now. Just send them the link. Let them jump in. If they jump in a few minutes late, that's okay. So feel free to invite them. It's the first thing there in the chat. So if you want to take out your cell phone and do that, that'd be great. We'll keep everybody muted for now. I'll talk a little bit about Gig Room and what it is and why it's here. And then at the end, I'll leave time for you to ask some questions. So the big question, what is Gig Room? So Gig Room is an audio video conferencing application that establishes direct peer-to-peer connections between users, which eliminates most of the latency or the delay that we experience when we're using other video conferencing applications. So we've all experienced that, right? So the pandemic really brought into focus a problem that's been around for a while. I mean, musicians have been dealing with the challenges of trying to make music over the internet for years, right? I mean, the pandemic just kind of brought it up to the forefront because suddenly we had to do it. It wasn't something we just kind of wanted to do on the side. Suddenly we had to. By the way, I'm a musician. I'm the conductor of the Carroll Symphony Orchestra. I'm a concert pianist. That's how I make a living. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a computer programmer. I'm a musician. So this application was created for musicians to help solve some of the problems that we're dealing with. And that problem is that the video conferencing applications and platforms that are developed for the business community are just too slow. The delays are too great for them to be useful to us. And whether that's in teaching, teaching one-on-one, teaching in the classroom, trying to rehearse together to play at the same time, they're just inadequate. You know, they may be great in a boardroom. They may be great way to talk to your grandkids on the other side of the country. But for musicians, the current video conferencing applications created for the business community are really inadequate. So we created the Gig Room. When we teach, and you've all tried it, I know we're on Zoom right now. I'm sure you tried Zoom, you tried Skype, you tried FaceTime. You tried to make music, and what happens? Well, two big things. One, there's this lag or this delay. You know, you try to play something or to sing something, and the person on the other side is 2 or 3 seconds behind you. Or even something as simple as you're listening to a student play and you want to point out a mistake or an incorrect rhythm or a poor fingering, and you say there. Well, by the time the student hears you say there, they're 2 measures down the road. So you spend the next 15 minutes trying to figure out where there was, and you're not addressing the problem. You're trying to get over this problem with the lag. So we wanted to figure out some way to eliminate that so that when I say there, my student knows where there was, and we can get back to the music and not focus on the software, but instead focus on making music. Now, let alone when we try to play together, right? So you try to play with somebody on Zoom or FaceTime, you're definitely going to get this really big, sometimes like that. I use the Gig Room so much that when I do use Zoom, I'm really frustrated because even just having a conversation, we end up speaking over each other, and I'm halfway through a sentence and the other person doesn't know that I'm talking yet. They start talking. And so I just have to remind myself, this isn't Gig Room, this is Zoom. You got to slow everything down. It's just really frustrating. And then if you are trying to use FaceTime or Zoom, and let's say you want to use a metronome app or you want to use a tuner app, or show a PDF, well, you got to open up another piece of software and you've got to try to screen share and all this stuff. And so it's really frustrating. So what we did is to invent a audio video conferencing application specifically for musicians that addresses the needs that we have. So we've been able to solve a lot of these problems, especially the delay, the latency, by creating an application that establishes direct peer-to-peer connections without some other third-party hub in between, right? So rather than going from me to Zoom and Zoom to you with the gig room, we can set up a connection from me to you. I like to imagine 2 tin cans and a string in between. So just directly me to you without anything else in between. And that allows us to have really fast connections and reduced latency or reduced delay. So most of our gig room sessions are reporting lag times that are so fast, it's like setting your metronome at 200 and you hear those clicks at 200. It's that fast or faster. And I'll demonstrate in a minute. You can see a gig room on I'll do a screen share and you'll be able to see it. But now when I use the gig room, when I hear a student playing and they have a wrong fingering and I want to say there, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And we can get over it, we can address the problem and move on. And we're not distracted by the experience of the software. And if the connections are fast enough, then we can actually even make music together. And you'll see how that's possible in a moment too when I show you a demonstration. So I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and just do that now. I'm going to do a screen share. And I'm going to take us to gigroom.net. I'll tell you what, let me put that in the chat first so that you can try it out afterwards. If you go to gigroom.net, when this is over, you'll be able to do it and try it. Sign up for yourself. Go ahead and join. There's no reason not to join now. It's free. I'll talk more about that in a minute. It doesn't cost you anything. So now I'm on a screen share. Can you all see that? Give me a thumbs up. Yep, great. All right, so this is gigroom.net. You can kind of go through this website and show some of the other educators that are using it now. These are screenshots all taken directly from the application, step by step. But I know what you want to see. You want to go right to it. So what's it look like? So I'm going to go to join a gig room. One click and here I am. I want to name my gig room. Let's name it NAFME. Click one button and there I am. So this is what the gig room screen looks like. You can see I can send an invitation. I can mute myself, pause my video. I've got a chat. I've got an onboard tuner. I've got a metronome, on-screen metronome. I don't have to go anywhere else. All that is right there in the application. So I'm going to send, I've got a cell phone here. I'm going to send myself an invitation. And this is how it works. Let's see. There we go, send my invite to myself, Terry Test. That'll be my name for this. Invite, invitation sent successfully. Go to my phone, check my invitation, there it is.
I'm gonna mute myself. Let's see. Okay, so that'll.
There we go. So now I'll set this up. Now my computer, which is the screen on the left, is on a internet connection here in my office, in my studio. My cell phone, the connection on the right, is just using a standard cell phone connection. I'm not using Wi-Fi. This is AT&T straight up. So these are different connections. They're not on the same network. Now, I want you to watch the delay. So you can see how fast that is. And obviously, we can make music together like that. If you look really close, it's really hard to see any delay. So that's what happens when you can have a direct peer-to-peer connection and a sufficient internet speed. So I'll close that gig room. I'll end it. And you see how easy it was. So that's part of the great thing, is that it's that easy to use. I don't have to go into Zoom and create some meeting app or anything like that. I go directly to it. I'll show you one more time. I go directly to, so let's go to the musical overture. I'll tell you what, let's go back to gigroom.net. And then that takes me over to Musical Overture. Let's go to the home page. So all I got to do to start a gig room, I click here on gig room. I name it, whatever I want to name it, pool piano. Bam, I'm there, just like that. And it's a secure connection. When I invite someone, we have a really great security feature. When you invite someone, that other person is given a token that allows them in, even if someone else gets the name of the gig room to be able to, kind of Zoom bomb it. You've heard of people who get a hold of invitations and they get into a Zoom meeting when they weren't invited or they didn't belong there, they weren't part of the class. In order to participate in a gig room, you have to be the one invited. You have to have that token on the back end. So even if someone else finds out the address or the name of the gig room, they have to be invited. I can create groups. So if I wanted to invite a string quartet or a woodwind quartet, and it's a regular occurring thing, then I can have a group set up and I don't have to invite everyone individually every time. I can just invite that group and they'll all get the invitation and they'll all show up. They receive their notifications through their email and also through their messaging here. So to see my message page here in my Musical Overture account. Now, you may be wondering, so what is the relationship between Musical Overture and the gig room? Musical Overture is the parent company that created the application gig room. So when you sign up for the gig room, you're automatically given an account with Musical Overture. Musical Overture has so many wonderful features: a video repository, an HD video repository. You can set up your own pages, almost like a personal web page. You can give it out, put it on your business card, put it on your Facebook page, and now you've got a web page. It doesn't cost you anything. It's got internal messaging application. It's got a wonderful directory. Your students can find other students like themselves so that they can connect with other musicians from all over the world. It's got a very interesting blog post. It's got calendar of musical events all over the world. It's got union contracts if you're wanting to hire people or be hired by people. Let's see, I've got a question. Can people participate in a room without a webcam? You can do audio only, as long as they've got a microphone. You can always turn the video off on your in your gig room. To answer that question in the chat, that's a good question. So let me take you back to gigroom.net, and I'll walk you through some of the frequently asked questions. This is actually a screenshot from an actual gig room. 4 people, there's the teacher, 3 students were participating. FAQs, lots of questions that people have. When you go to gigroom.net, you can click on the FAQs. Is it a safe site to use? It is. We don't harvest or sell your data. The only data that's collected really is what's required to give you the best user experience. All the answers there. You can read our privacy policy. We are compliant with all the US and European security regulations, including COPA, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. So we're in compliance with all of that. Keeping our students or children safe is priority number 1. My children are on the gig room. They have memberships in Musical Overture, and so look, security is number 1 to me. I want to keep them safe. It's free to use the gig room. How long does it take to set up? Well, you saw how long it took. We do have some suggestions on how to tune your room. We have a pro tips page that kind of gives you some best practices so you can get the best experience. Plug into wired internet connection if you can. Ask the others in your home to lay off the network while you're using it. Have only one tab open in your browser. Little things like that I'll let you check out. Let's see. How long does it take? Can I record my gig room session? That's a feature that's coming soon, and I'll talk about that in a moment. How does Musical Overture handle my data? We do not harvest or sell your data. The only data we collect are what's necessary to provide users with the best possible experience. We need your operating system version, browser version, that kind of thing, so that we can know if you're on mobile or know if you're on desktop and that kind of thing. But we're not in the business of taking your data and selling it to Facebook. That's not what we do. We do have an optional profile page. You don't have to do this. All you have to do is give us an email address, a password, username. But we do have a profile page that allows you to kind of get a little more in detail, what instrument you play, who's your favorite composer, all that kind of stuff. Because let's see, you can see my page here, where I have videos uploaded like you would on a YouTube channel, only it's higher quality. And I can go to my profile and I can, again, tell my interests, tell my favorite composers. And then when someone searches for something that I might be interested in, I'll show up in the search. So I have a place for a bio about me. I can share this with Facebook or Twitter or email. We also have a tip jar. And this was very handy during COVID, as musicians were able to receive tips from their fans or from students or whomever wanted to leave them tip. That goes directly to their digital wallet. In my case, it's Venmo. We do not see that money. That money does not go through Musical Overture or through the gig room. It goes directly to your tip jar. 100% of the money. We don't see any of it. Let's see. I guess that's all I want to show on this. One of the questions we get is, well, how many videos can I upload onto my video page? And it's unlimited. Just keep loading them all day long. You can see in my video page, 649,000 total views. On YouTube, it's probably a couple of thousand. So this video repository is much more specific for musicians. This isn't a place where you upload your favorite video of Taylor Swift or Billy Joel or Horowitz or whomever you want to upload. This is where you upload videos of yourself. So you don't get lost in the shuffle. You know, if you got a 14-year-old flute player who wants to meet another 14-year-old flute player who's working on the same etude or the same all-state audition, they try to find somebody like themselves, a peer, on YouTube. They'll never find them. YouTube's just too big. But on Musical Overture, they can find their peers, which is really a big reason why I started Musical Overture years ago. I grew up in, side note, I grew up in a small town in South Georgia, and I was the only kid I knew that played the piano for 8 hours a day. And it would have been great to meet somebody else who did that. So when I grew up, we started Musical Overture so that other 8-year-old kids could find some other 8-year-old kid and they could develop a friendship and not feel like they were alone. The meetings, there's not a limit to, let's see, I'm going to answer some of these questions real quick. The invite goes on your phone to your email. It also goes to your messaging app inside your Musical Overture account. It does work with any mobile device. The meetings can last as long as you need them to last. And yes, how many people in a room? 4. Right now, a gig room is available for 4 people. We do have plans to expand it. Hopefully, the next few weeks, we'll be able to release a 50-user gig room so that you can do classroom teaching, full rehearsals. And then after that, we'll keep growing. I want to tell you a little bit about what that'll look like, because I'm really excited about the large gig room for classroom and for large ensemble teaching. So as the teacher or the conductor, we have built-in templates. When you're building your group or you're putting in your class roster, first period symphonic band, and you enter the users that are going to get invited for that rehearsal, you're also going to enter what instrument they play. So when they arrive, they will show up on your screen in the correct section on the screen, according to a concert band template. So your tuba is not mixed in with your flutes, your percussion is not sitting with your clarinets. They're in the right space on the screen. And you'll see at first, you'll see little squares with a picture of the instrument, right? You get 50 screens on 50 little blocks on your screen. You're not really you can't really see the kids anyway. You'll see what instrument they play and a little meter. And when they're playing, that meter will start moving and you'll know that they're playing. Move your mouse over that box and click it, and suddenly you'll see the screen of that student. So you can see that that student is indeed participating, that they are playing. As you're listening, you're hearing all 50 people play at once. One day we're even going to add a spatial, what I call a spatial output differentiation system, surround sound basically. Let's say you've got 4 first clarinets but you've only got stereo speakers. You got to find some way to be able to hear those 4 clarinets. Using surround sound simulated headphones, you'll be able to assign each of those 4 clarinets a front right, front left, back right, back left. And with a little bit of getting used to it, you'll be able to tell which clarinet is out of tune or which clarinet is late, which is something you can't do now. And it's something that a business video conferencing app is never going to do for you because, well, they're not musicians and we are. Now, that's what the teacher will see or what the conductor will see. We've got a concert band template, an orchestra template, a jazz band template, a choir template, and we'll continue to make more templates as people ask for them. If you're the student, here's what you see. You see an image of the teacher and eventually a PDF of the music. You're the teacher. You don't want the kids looking at each other. You want them to be able to hear each other, but you want them eyes on the teacher. So they see you, they see their music, they're listening. You see the whole group, and you can hit each button to see each user individually. And this large gig room is coming soon. That'll be the next big product release for us. The plan originally was to release the gig room in 2021, but then the pandemic happened, so we pushed it early. Last June, we released the one-on-one version of the gig room. In November, we released the 4-user gig room. And hopefully in the next, like I said, the next few weeks, we'll release the 50-user gig room, and it'll continue to grow after that. Improvements are made regularly. I mean, every few days, there's a tweak or an update or something. As good as it is now, and you saw how fast it worked just a moment ago when I did the test. As good as it is now, in 2 weeks, it'll be better. And a week after that, it'll be better. And a month after that, it'll be better. By the time school starts in August for the next school year, it's going to blow you away. Some other things that we're adding, we're going to add a recording feature that's really fascinating. The recording feature will work this way. Rather than having a central hub to do the recording like Zoom or Skype, which would just slow down the connection. We don't want that. Instead, we're going to have each device, the student's device, will record just that student. The recording will be stamped with a time code. After the recording is finished, we'll capture all and harvest all of those recordings and then synchronize them according to the time code. And in 2 or 3 minutes, you'll have a rendered recording with no lag at all because we've been able to synchronize it exactly with the recording, with the time code. So that way we're able to get a recording without adding delay by having to transmit through a third-party recording hub. You saw the metronome and the tuner on the home screen. Soon we'll have that to be remote control, so that as you're teaching a lesson and your student is speeding up or slowing down, you can hit the metronome button and it'll turn on their screen. And you'll be able to control the metronome that they see and that they hear. If they're playing out of tune, just turn on the tuner, they'll see it, they'll go, oh yeah, I'm out of tune, let me tune. So you'll be able to give those little subtle hints that way. And also our PDF share, we're going to equip with the ability to make annotations. So while the student sees you and the PDF on the screen, you'll be able to circle a note or add in a fingering or put in a dynamic marking or some expression marking, and it'll show up on the student's screen. And they'll then be able to save that PDF, print it out, put it on their music stand and play with it. And that'll work not only for the one-on-one or the 4-channel, 4-user gig room, but in the 50-user gig room also. As far as pricing, people always want to know, well, how much does it cost? It's free. They want to know, what do you do with our data? Nothing. We don't sell your data. We don't harvest your data. Look, I'm a musician. I needed this tool. So we created this tool. As musicians give us ideas for new features, we'll add them in. As you come up with new ways to use Gig Room, we'll implement them for everybody. When I think of something else that I need, I'm going to put it in. You know, we're musicians. We're trying to make this work for each other. So there's no reason not to join it. Oh, it's not on the App Store. Somebody just asked if it was on the App Store. This is a web application. So you go through Safari or whatever browser you're using. Just type in gigroom.net. Just put it in the chat. So let's see. I want to see if there are any other questions I need to see. I think that's it. So yeah, so you don't download an app. You don't download any software. You don't buy any external hardware. You just use the browser that you already have. So you don't, again, the point is not to be distracted by the technology, but let the technology just empower you to have a more fluid musical experience. We call it the gig room on purpose. We want it to be like you're in the same room. That's the whole idea. So we can reduce the lag or the latency to 8 milliseconds. That's like standing 8 feet apart, which is what we would do in the real world, right? So that's the idea, is to make it feel like we're in the room together. So whatever you do, go to gigroom.net and try it out. Like I said, it doesn't cost you anything. You've got absolutely nothing to lose, nothing to risk. Just go sign up and try the gig room. Make sure you check out our pro tips page, because that will give you some tips to have the best possible experience. But look, like anything, if you were to come see me and you brought your violin or you brought your trumpet or whatever you brought, and we were to try to play together, the first few measures would be rough, right? We would have to kind of get used to each other. You know, I'd be watching your face. I'd be watching when you breathed. You'd watch me. But, you know, after about a minute, we'd be in sync and we'd have a rehearsal. And the more we rehearse, the more in sync we would become. It's the same thing in the gig room. Turn it on, try it. At first, you may experience a little bit of delay and may feel kind of strange because you're doing it online. But just like in the real world, just give it a shot. Just stick with it. You'll get it. And I would love to do a demo with you, me and you. Okay, so here's my email address. You can email me at terry@musicaloverture.com. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Let's try that again. Terry at, I typed it too fast. Musicaloverture.com. There you go. Let's see if I can delete that bad one. That's not going to work. Anyway, terry@musicaloverture.com. And at gigroom.net, there are plenty of places where you can contact us so that you can have a demo with a team member or an experienced gig roomer who will help you to try it out. But my goal is that you'll try it and that you'll use it, and it'll help you make music and help your students make music. Whether you're wanting to work with students or if you're wanting to work with a colleague preparing for a recital or performance that you hope to be able to do again one day, it'll be, that's what the gig room's for. It's here to help you. I got another question here. When the 50-player rooms are available, will there be an element for an audience to join, view only like a live concert, or will we have to record and then present that parents and audience? That'll come in phases. So the first step is to have the 50-user gig room available to use, right? So that we can actually just use it. Step 2 will be the recording feature. And step 3 will be a streaming, because to be able to stream it, obviously we have to capture those things. If we ran it through a third-party hub that streamed it in real time, the presence of the third-party hub would create delay. That's part of why Zoom doesn't work for us, right? Because there's this third party in the way. So we have to be really careful that there are lots of things that we would love to be able to do, but we have to just deal with the realities of physics also. So the more things that are in between me and you, I want my 2 cans with a string, right? The more things that are in between us, the slower it's going to be, right? So I would rather, if I'm going to do a live concert, I'd rather do it at 7:30 and then present it to everybody else at 8:30 if that's what it takes. Now, you could always do this and do a screen share of your gig room. Now, I'll tell you what I did a moment ago. I did a gig room demonstration for you while using Zoom. Now, I went against one of my best tips. One of my pro tips is don't have Zoom or anything else open. Just focus on the gig room. But it still worked beautifully. We had some good luck there. You could always do a stream using Facebook Live or a gig room share, not a gig room, a Zoom share of your gig room experience. But the question I think is, will you be able to do a live stream with 50 people using the gig room as a standalone? That's something that will have to come in the future. I think the best way to think about that now would be to do a Facebook Live stream, because they're really good at it. I mean, they're good at those streaming things. The latency and the lag, if you're trying to play together, is terrible. They're terrible at that. We're great at that, but they're good at the live stream thing. So you do your gig room session and you stream it out on Facebook Live. That's what I would do. And then, we'll figure out the rest of it later. But, this is and always will be a work in progress. We have a brilliant team of engineers. In fact, our lead engineer is on this Zoom call, Justin, and I want to brag on him because look, this stuff is groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking technology. To be able to create a 4-channel get direct peer-to-peer connections. Each person has 3 peer-to-peer connections all going at once. And then to be able to expand that out to 50 or 250 or however far it's going to go. This is brilliant developers. And so I've got to brag on them because you're here because you haven't found anybody else that could do this. I'm here and we made this because we couldn't find anybody else who would do it. So that's me talking. It's free. Go try. There's nothing to get in your way. There's no risk. I'm not, we're not going to take advantage of you. Just go try it. We're not taking your data. We're not selling it. We just want to help you. I'm a musician. You're a musician. We want to make music, and that's it. So are there any other questions? If you want to raise your hand or unmute yourself or whatever, ask me any questions.
Terry, how does this work with vocalists? I know you said the choral is coming. Does it currently work well with vocalists as opposed to?
Yes, because it uses the microphone, so it works just like you would if you
Okay.
were.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, I rehearse with singers all the time.
Good deal.
You get used to it just like you do with we're playing in person.
Right.
The 3 things that you have to deal with for that delay, or the latency, the lag, whatever you want to call it, the delay. The first thing was getting rid of the third-party server that was in the middle. Well, we got that, and that's the biggest cause of the delay that you've experienced with other applications. Okay. The second thing was having a sufficient internet connection, a pipeline that was big enough to be able to support something this complicated. Pre-pandemic, we all had fast download speeds, but we had really slow upload speeds.
Right.
The internet provider world has kind of helped us with that. And your download speed may not be as fast as it was a year ago, but your upload speed is a whole lot faster than it used to be. And a lot of providers even offer symmetrical internet speeds so that your upload and downloads are the same. So you only need a 2 megabyte per second download and upload speed to be able to do this. And thankfully, the infrastructure is catching up to that. So most people have access to that kind of connection. So if your internet connection is good enough. Now, if you can ever plug into a wired connection in your office or in your home, you're going to have a better experience. The demonstration I did a moment ago, my computer is plugged in with a wire to the internet. My cell phone, though, is just on a regular AT&T cell phone connection. And you saw it was just like that. So, those little things make it easier. And the third thing, some latency is created inside your machine. Okay. So it takes a millisecond or 2 for my camera to take my image and turn it into a digital code. And then it takes a little time for your screen to turn it back into an image that looks like me. Well, both of those things take a little time. So if we can do things so that our computers or our phones or our tablets can run faster and dedicate more attention and more resources to the gig room application, you'll have a better experience. So we have that pro tips page that gives you lots of little tips and advice so that you'll get the best experience. And as you get better at doing that and remembering how to optimize your system, your gig room experience will get faster and faster and faster and better, while all the while we're making improvements on the back end. Like I said, this is going to be better a month from now. It's going to be better 2 months from now. By the time, like I said, middle of the summer, just wait. It's going to be incredible. So, I think it's incredible now. And it's just going to keep getting better. Ethernet's always the way to go, Jason. Yeah, Ethernet's always the way to go. But again, like I said, I just did a great demo. One side on internet, one side on cell phone. So, yeah. The recording will be, once we release it, it'll be audio and video, which is great because even if I could talk about this part forever. If anybody, by the way, if you want to do like a technical deep dive and really talk about the technical stuff behind it, I'd love to do it. I'm trying not to do that today because I can get kind of in the weeds sometimes. But the way we're handling the recording process is just so sweet because we're having to balance keeping the really super fast connections between each other, the peer-to-peer connections, with trying to record and capture that. And how do we do that is really fascinating. But it'll be audio and video, and it'll be as high quality as your camera can record, and your microphone. All right, any other questions? Keep them coming. I can do this all day. I get excited about it. Okay, so if we devote our connection to gig rooms, does this mean I cannot pull up? No, you can pull up IMSLP, absolutely. You know, the more things you pull up, the more of a drag you've got. So, you know, I'll sometimes have Chrome running with 60 tabs open. You know, I'll have so many things, you know, I try to remind myself I'm going to teach a lesson or do a rehearsal. Let's close a lot of those out because every tab that's open is going to take CPU power. And so if I can just kind of close those out and let it focus, but you know, pulling up a IMSLP, that's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, that's not going to hurt anything. Especially if it's already downloaded and it's just sitting on your computer. You know, if you can download it as a PDF, and that way that you're not even getting it as part of the internet connection, you're not encroaching on your internet speed at all. Then you're just borrowing CPU speed, but not much. And like I said, very soon we'll have the PDF share so that you'll just feed that IMSLP PDF through GigRoom, and it'll show up in the two windows: one window for the teacher, one window for the PDF. It'll all be there. And we'll have a library of PDFs so that you as a teacher, you may have 100 pieces of music that you use often as you teach. Maybe you've got 50 sight reading examples or etudes or something that you want to have on call. Then you'll be able just to, in your PDF library, just pull it up and bam, there it goes into the PDF share. And you don't have to load it up every single time. Those are all wonderful things that are coming soon. Those are things coming in new iterations. But the point was to get this working for you as soon as possible so that you can start teaching and start rehearsing immediately. And then these other bells and whistles, they're all going to come. I mean, we're going to do things we haven't thought of yet. You're going to give me ideas. We're going to do that. Of course, the metronome. The metronome wasn't my idea. That was a user who emailed us and said, hey, you think you could do something with a metronome? My students really need this. And a week later, there was a metronome on the screen.
All right, so I have a question. It'll be easier to say it than try to type it. So I'm teaching hybrid right now. We've done one virtual concert this year virtual concert. I had about half of my students on stage, socially distanced, masked, but it was in a concert hall. And then on a big screen behind them, I had the other half of my class on Zoom. So we could see them, but we couldn't hear them. The kids at home could hear us and play along with, and you know, I have my share screen so they could hear the metronome and whatnot. But I'm wondering, do you think this would be possible with GigRoom, or is something like a concert hall and a stage too big of a space? Do you think I could possibly have a virtual concert where I could see and hear the kids right there in real time, and then have like a separate device recording the stage, the concert? Do you think that's possible?
Already done. So in the beginning of 2016, we did the world's first concert. In fact, there was a documentary made about it. It was on PBS. It won all these awards at festivals. It's this great thing. If you go to the, when you go to the musical overture page, at the top of gigroom.net, you'll see a little button that says, what is musical overture? That's the larger community. At the bottom of that homepage, you'll see a film called Hear Us. Hear Us documents how the world's first e-concert came about. And here's how that was. In Weimar, Germany, there was a violinist and a pianist on stage, while in Cleveland, there was a cellist who played live through the gig room, through the very earliest beta version of the gig room, on a big movie screen, and the world's first e-concert came about. So we've already done that. And yes, you can still do it. Now, because that's one of the cool things. So imagine that you're, okay, so you're in rehearsal, and you're doing you're rehearsing a piece, and there's an oboe solo that's really crucial to this spot in the piece, but your oboe player is quarantined. They're at home, but you've got to practice this, right? Well, you put the oboe player up on your Promethean board using the gig room, and they play along in rehearsal, and everyone in the orchestra gets to hear, so you don't miss out on it at all. And if you're the oboe player, you're getting to rehearse. If you're just in the group, you get to hear the oboe player. If you're, there's no more sick days. So your first tenor soloist is out. First tenor soloist, we got you on the board, sing your solo. Right? Or you've got to be out. Let's say that you're quarantined and now you've got to teach. Put you on the Promethean.
This is a game changer, especially with the element of not having to have the camera, because the devices that were given to students here in our district do not come with webcams. And so we had to do what we could to furnish where we could, but still to this day, not every student has a webcam. So this allowing them to still participate via the audio is huge. So thank you.
mean, I don't really care. Look, if I'm rehearsing with somebody, I don't care if their video is grainy or if it's in black and white or if they just turn it off. I want to hear it. It's the audio that I care about, right? So that's been the big priority for us the whole time. And that's one reason why we're able to do this. Audio packets are much smaller than video packets. So by putting the focus on the audio, we can keep these connections moving faster. This packet exchange is faster because the audio packets are so much smaller than the video packets. So by placing priority on audio. And like I said, we're musicians. Zoom and Google and these guys, they're making stuff they got 1 billion people in the business world that they're catering for. That's great. They can have them. I got 12.6 million kids in America, 5th through 12th grade, that are in a band, orchestra, chorus program. And that's who I'm trying to help. And 12.6 million sounds like a lot, but to Google and Zoom, that's not enough for them to worry about. But it's important for us. So somebody's got to do this for musicians. So that's what we did. And you can look, because like I said, we're running 4 channels now. If you want to run 4 kids up on the Promethean board during rehearsal, you can do that now. Doesn't cost you a dime. And like I said, we're fully COPA compliant. We do all the child online protection stuff. I mean, everything about it. You can read our privacy, let your principal read the privacy, go through it, fine tooth comb. I mean, when we offer the 50 channel gig room, we will have an extra layer of authentication because we know a lot of elementary schools are asking for this. So we've got to deal with what do you do for kids that are 13 and under. So there is a whole nother little layer of security that's involved. Principals have to validate it. Parents have to validate the first use of it, all this stuff. But look, we're doing all of that. We're doing all of that. So if your students are 13 or over, sign them all up Monday, put them in. There's no reason not to go ahead and get them doing it. It doesn't cost them anything, and we're not doing anything with their data. We just want to make them music, get them back to singing again.
Absolutely. I'm going to present this to my principal first thing Monday. So thank you.
Wonderful. And I would love to do a demo with you. And that's to everybody. Just send an email to me, Terry@musicaloverture.com, contact@musicaloverture.com. There's several different buttons on gigroom.net that'll lead you toward asking for a demonstration. And I would love to be the one to do it. At some point, I'm not going to be able to do it. We've got several thousand users right now, so I can kind of still get to know everybody. At some point, it's going to be so big that I can't do it by myself. But as long as I can, I want to. I want to get to know you. I want to try it out with you. I mean, I'm seeing people in this Zoom that I haven't seen in 20 years. I can't wait to get on here with you. It's going to be great. Jason, we're hoping to have it up in the next few weeks. I mean, I'd love to tell you it's going to be next month, but my developer who's watching this maybe just choked on his coffee. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but as fast as we can get it, we're going to get it to you. As fast as we can, because my goal is to get it out there and get you using it. I want you to use it. I want you to break it. I want to fix it. I want to iterate it so that by the time the school year starts again in August, it is perfect. So we're trying to get out as fast as we can so that you can use it, try it out, get used to it, give us feedback. We can improve it because, it's a work in progress, and it always will be. It's just always going to be making this thing better.
So Terry, I'm the theater person with the, helping with the musical person as much as possible. Is there any licensure or restriction for us to be using this for musical theater?
Oh, not at all. Absolutely. We comply with all the Digital Millennium Copyright Act requirements. Anything you could get sued over, we've got it in our privacy policy, right? So you're not going to run into any issues like that. You should use this for your distance learning. I mean, if I were a math teacher, I would use GigRoom. It's just faster. I mean, why not use it? Like I said, we're not charging you. Up to 4 people which is what we offer, is totally free. So there's no reason not to jump in and start using it now.
Okay.
And look, I mean, the quality is, when you're on the gig room, you'll see the quality, the video and audio quality without the stopping and starting. If I'm using Zoom and I'm teaching a lesson, the feed just pause, stop, skip, jump. You can't tell if they're playing a correct rhythm. How in the world are you going to tell if your student is playing an accurate rhythm? But with gig room, it's smooth sailing. So let alone being able to play at the same time, just the fact that you can get close enough to be able to teach, to me, is a game changer.
Mhm.
And then you're getting it into where that's the delay. I mean, it's wonderful. Anybody else have a question? I'm gonna, yeah, you can play with the students. Yeah, that's right, Tracy.
Excellent.
So I'm gonna,
Question.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So this is just me, and maybe I'm weird, but you say you can have 4 at a time, but what if you have either 2 computers next to each other, or say 2 or 3 gig windows open? Does that mean you can daisy chain and have like 12 at a time?
No, still limited to 4 peer-to-peer connections. So the infrastructure behind it is this: my device can connect to 3 other devices. If I try to connect to a 4th device, it's going to hang up on the first one.
Got it.
And that's just that's where we are right now with the technology. One day that's going to be more. Very soon it's going to be, I'm going to connect to 49 other people. So that's coming. Right now it's 4. Right now it's 4. We do some things to test in the background, but in the software, the application that's available right now, you're limited to 3 other connections. So you plus 3. But we're going to get there very soon, though. It'll be like in the next few weeks, you'll be able to do the larger gig rooms. And oh, let me clarify that, because you did ask, what if you had a different browser window? It's not it's not how many tabs can connect, right? It is the device. Because it does work on IP addresses, and so it's the device. It's not how many tabs you can connect. So I think that was probably part of that question. Thank you, Tracy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this video and I'm going to put it on Musical Overture. We're going to put a link to it on gigroom.net. We're going to put it on the Musical Overture Facebook page. And I'm going to just share it with as many people as possible, because I want people to know about Gig Room, and I want people to try it and use it, and I want people to make music. Oh yeah, I'm right with you, Michael. Absolutely. Look, I'm my day job. I'm the conductor of the Carroll Symphony. We have a professional orchestra. We have a professional jazz band. We have a community wind ensemble, and I play in a chamber music group with 6 players. I want it more than anybody. The sooner the better. You got it, man. I want it. I want it now, and we'll get there. We will get there. I promise. We'll get there very soon. We'll get there soon.
Okay, so again, I'm a Luddite. If I join after we're done with this, and then by that point in time, you will have this, so I can then email that to everybody in my region so they can catch on and look at it from the link there.
I'm going to post this video. I'm going to post it. The easiest place to find it will be the Musical Overture Facebook page. So Facebook/Musical Overture.
Okay.
Yep. And then we'll get the video up on gigroom.net, and we'll get it up on musicaloverture.com so that you can watch this webinar.
All right, great.
Any other questions before we let it go? I know you've all got other things you need to do, but I'm very grateful for your time. Thank you for doing this. Look, go to gigroom.net and join. It's free.
Thank you.
And I'm not taking your data. Just go.
Thank you, Terry. This is great. This is very exciting.
Absolutely. So Kyle, send me an email at terry@musicaloverture.com. We'll put that up. I want everybody to go to gigroom.net and sign up. It's free.
All right.
All right, let's get on it. Let's make some music. And I would love to do private demos with you. All right, so we're going to end this. I'm going to post the recording. It's great to see you. Look, in the orchestra that I direct, we have a lot of education outreach programs, and we always say, just like everyone should learn to read and write, everybody should learn to listen and to sing.
Absolutely.
That's what we want the Gig Room to do. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.